All right, our next example, we're going to talk about revenue. And when you talk about revenue, you have to know what it is. First of all, revenue is just the amount of money that you make from a transaction. So it doesn't take into consideration your cost of making that item or products or your profit or anything like that. It's literally just the amount of money that is handed to you when you make a transaction. Okay, so for this problem, we're given that the price is P and quantity is X, and we're given an equation for price in terms of X. And we are asked to express revenue as a function of X. Well, in order to figure this out, we have to know how you find revenue. We know that it's the money that you make, but how do we get that from P and X? So if you think of a simple example, then that might help you out. So let's say we're looking at a guy that sells hot dogs out of a hot dog cart, and he's selling his hot dogs for $2. So he's got $2 hot dogs, and let's say that he sells 30 of them. Okay, so he's got $2 hot dogs and he sells 30 of them. How much does he make? What is his revenue? His revenue is going to be $60. Okay, so how did we figure that out? We did $2 times 30 hot dogs. 2 times 30 is 60. He makes $60. Okay, so if we're looking for revenue, we're going to do price times quantity. Okay, so price times quantity. This is a simple example, but that's how you find it every time. Okay, so let's get that out of the way because that doesn't have anything to do with our problem here. And we'll remember that revenue is equal to price times quantity. Okay, so let's go back to our problem. We're trying to find revenue as a function of X. So we're looking for R of X, revenue as a function of X. And we know that price is P and quantity is X. We're given that in the very beginning. Price is P and quantity is X. But we got to get this all just in terms of X. So we're going to need to use this equation right here to get this all in terms of X. So we're going to do price times quantity. So price is -1/2 X plus 80. And quantity is X. Price times quantity. So our revenue equation becomes -1/2 X squared plus 80X. We'll multiply that out. Okay, so either of those answers would be fine. That's our revenue. Okay, so the next question, what quantity X maximizes the revenue and what is the maximum revenue? So remember we talked about this at the beginning. X is the value that you find where the revenue happens, but the actual maximum is the Y value. So what quantity X maximizes the revenue? We see max, we think vertex, and we think -B/2A. And we know that that's our X value. So let's start with that. So coming up here, here's our A and here's our B. So let's put that into our equation. We're going to have X is equal to -B/2A. Okay, so 80 over 2 times 1/2. Okay, so negative over negative, that's going to come out positive, and 2 times 1/2 is going to be 1, so we're going to have 80 over 1, which is 80. If you put this in your calculator, do the negatives on your own. It should come out positive for all of these. And make sure when you put this in your calculator that you put parentheses around the denominator, so it'll turn out right. Okay, so X is 80, so that means we have to sell a quantity of 80 to get our maximum revenue. So 80 units is what we want to sell. Now, what is our maximum revenue? We want to plug that back in. So we plug that back into our revenue equation. We plug 80 in here. And we're going to have -1/2 80 squared plus 80 times 80. And I don't have a calculator here, but this should be easy enough to do. So we're going to have -1/2 times 6,400 plus 6,400. So that should be 3,200, -3,200 plus 6,400, it should be 3,200. Let me write that a little bit better. 3,200. Okay, so when we sell 80 units, we will hit our maximum revenue of $3,200.